o semper, which means rejoice in the Lord always. So the word for this third Sunday of Advent is rejoice. To rejoice is to be happy. To rejoice is to be glad. That's why the candle that we light today is the pink candle, because this symbolizes the feeling of happiness and rejoicing. And to rejoice in the Lord is not the same as interpreted by some. To be happy, to rejoice, or a joyful feeling is never equated with bodily pleasure, because the joy that we're talking here is the joy that comes from the Lord. And every Christian is called to a life of holiness, a life of happiness. We are never called to live a miserable life. God never calls us to be sad. God calls us all to be happy. And therefore, a sad Christian is a contradictory in terms. If you are a sad disciple of Christ, you must be in the wrong place, because God never calls each of us to become sad. That's why, as we prepare for the major feast, which we are going to celebrate on the 25th of December, our preparations must also be characterized by joy and happiness. How can we be happy in our lives? Are you happy right now? Are you sad? Do you have problems? Do you have difficulties? But brothers and sisters, a person can truly be happy in the joy of the Lord when, number one, he feels contented. When you are contented with what you have, with what you are, and with where you are, you will be extremely happy. And this goes against the principle of the material world, because the material world never teaches us to be contented. Materialism always tells us and teaches us that something is lacking in our lives, and that's why we always have to search for them in a materialistic sense, and that will be sad. It's just like, for instance, this is only an example, it's just like a cell phone. If you have iPhone 7, the following year there will be iPhone 8, and iPhone 7 will be obsolete. Then the following year you buy iPhone 8, and the next year there will be iPhone 9, and iPhone 8 will be obsolete. So you buy iPhone 9. The following year there's iPhone 10, and iPhone 9 will be obsolete. You will never be contented, because every year materialism has something to offer us. When we were children, we were contented with 2 pesos, 1 peso, or 2 pesos. And then, when we grow up, we're not contented with pesos anymore. We look for hundreds. When you have hundreds, you're never contented with hundreds. You will look for thousands, and more, because materialism is like that. It teaches us not to be contented, but to continually search for material things. But if you have found the Lord, and the Lord resides in your life, in your heart, you will be contented with everything that you will have and acquire, whether it be small or big, whether it be little or much. Everything will suffice if the Lord is in our hearts. So contentment, my brothers and sisters, is actually can be experienced with the Lord and can give us happiness. Number 2, we have to be grateful. A person who is grateful is a person who continually counts his blessing. When you are thankful to God, it means you acknowledge that every blessing that comes your way comes from the generosity of God. There are people who do not count their blessings, but instead they count the misfortunes in life. They count the struggles in life. They count the problems in life. And they are so blinded by this misfortunes in their lives that they forget that there are actually a lot of blessings that come His way, our way, every day in our lives. To be thankful to God means you are a happy person because you acknowledge how blessed you are. So gratefulness is a sign of happiness. Number three, a person can truly be happy when he finds God in everything that he does. When you find God in every occasion in your life. When you find God in every event in your life. Even in the saddest experiences in life, if you can still find God, you can truly be happy. And that is the wisdom of the cross. Because if we always continue to carry our crosses every day, because we know that God is there, even in the saddest events in our life, we can still see God in them. We can still see that God still exists, even if we are down, even if we are in the lowest point of our life. And because of this, lastly, a person can be truly happy if he continues to be hopeful, he continues to be expectant. Hope is always a sign of joy. You move forward to continue with your life. You continue living a life of happiness because there's something to hope for in the future. Every one of us lives in this temporary world, and I believe many of us are afraid of dying because many of us tend to think that happiness can be found on the world, on this place. But, my brothers and sisters, ironically, our faith tells us to continue to be expectant and hope because life, eternal, awaits for us in heaven. And when we finally leave this planet, there is a God who is waiting for us because God will also be happy to see us live with Him in His eternal kingdom. Dear brothers and sisters, to be happy is to be always aware that every day in our lives, God is always there. God can never desert us. God will never depart us. And our joy will be complete when we finally live and be united with our God in heaven. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please stand.